Hello, everybody. We're back again with Bonga Dada Bonga. And as
Bonga
we
dada
wind,
bonga.
Bonga Dada Bonga,
Bonga dada bonga.
we love the music and the name of it.
Yes.
As we wind down our season, we really just wanted to come together and reflect on the election season, what it has meant for Kenya, what it has meant for Kenyan women, and what it has meant for us as the people who sort of supported this vision and just came together. Nobody asked us to do it, but we just thought it was something that should be done. And we really just want to reflect on it and what it means to us. I'm joined in the studio today with the driver behind it all, Queen Mother, Professor Dashanaba King. But she,
Yes, yes. It's been a
yeah,
great ride. We have, in fact, one more episode. Did you know we've done 20 episodes of Bonga
amazing.
Dada Bonga, Bonga Dada Bonga? Did you
Dada
know that?
Bonga. Imagine that. Doesn't feel like it. It went really fast.
Yeah, it went
Also
really
here,
fast. Yeah.
and
And
also here we're joined by
yeah.
my namesake, another Rose. It's going to get confusing in here today. Say hi. Hi. How have you been, Rose?
I've been well, but quite busy. I think this electioneering time took a bit of our time, and we've been busy and busy and busy trying to make up for the time that we've been out. But we thank God we are here, and great to see you. And this is wonderful to be here. I've just finished my council meeting, so I was running to join in the show before we get on time. But I'm glad that you're all here. I'm glad
Yeah,
I'm here. Thank you.
Yes, and
yeah,
we're
we're,
also
we're
glad that you're here, Rose. We're very happy. Now, we are expecting a
absolutely.
guest in the studio, but I don't see her. I don't see that her camera is on, but perhaps she'll come in before, uh, perhaps she'll come in a
Yeah.
little later.
She looks
Sure.
like she's having a little bit of an internet problem from what I can see. And our guest is Lucy Nasimiu Mweruka. She's
Yeah.
from Mbakalu, Mbakalu Ward in Tongaren Sub-County. She's a
Mhm.
special needs teacher, a special person. Those are really special people. She majors in sign language, and she's worked as a youth and women fund ambassador in Bungoma County and as an interpreter, and she's currently engaging in agribusiness. So we're hoping to have her on. She's been on before,
Mhm.
but we wanted to have her back today. So I'm just going to kick it off with you, Queen Mother. We
Okay.
haven't heard a lot from you.
Okay.
You've been behind the scene making everything work for us. Um, what are your impressions? What did you get out of this, and how do you feel about how it went?
Well, first off, I don't even know what the right word is, but I'm just going to say to Rose and Rose, Queen Mother, thank you. Queen Mother appreciates you. Queen Mother blesses you. And Queen Mother, thank God for you. Because when we started this off, it was just a figment of an imagination of people saying, what are the women going to do? What are the women going to do this year around the election season? And as for me, being a foreigner, I don't get involved in things like that. And usually I take my holiday when you guys are choosing to vote, right? For reasons we all know. However, none of that happened this year. And
Yeah,
so as we went along, my impressions of this one is I have certainly gotten to know some Kenyan women in politics from various parts of the country, in the rural, remote areas, to the bright lights of urban Nairobi. I've gotten to meet them and hear their manifestos and what they want, all right, for their particular counties and their particular cities. And some of them have been very young, but somehow they threw their hat into the ring. Throwing your hat into the ring already says that you are a woman leader.
right.
Many of them didn't know what they were up for, but they tried anyway. There were others who threw their hat in the ring who had to get out for one reason or the other. We've also been talking to them and tracking them. We've also talked to some of the women who've been harassed this year because of the election. Men and others not wanting them to have any of these seats. One of the things that I have found throughout this whole process of this 20-week series of Kenyan women in politics, I have found that Kenyan women know how to kick ass.
That they do, that they
They
do.
do. And some of them are not afraid to do that. So what we want to do, and when I say kick ass, I don't mean like in a fight. I mean women who are really willing to stand up and make something happen. That's what I mean. All right? That's what I mean. So I found that these women are willing to do that. And as of this moment, I will be doing everything I can over these next 5 years to get our women more prepared to run in the race. I'm going to be knocking on a lot of doors, talking to a lot of people, because I don't mind knocking on doors and talking to people. One thing about me, I learned early, I'm not afraid to speak, I'm not afraid to ask. And so I'll be one of those out there helping to usher the women on into the next light, even as we enjoy this 2022 year season of them coming in as new officers. I just want to hug all of them. I really want to hug all of them. Those of I wanted to hold a big T in every county. This is what Queen Mother wanted to do. And if any of you out there are listening and you have deep pockets, come and help me. I want to have a T in every county for all the women who threw their hat into the ring, about
Man,
7,000 of them, not just the winners, all of them. I want to have a big T of appreciation. And then I want pastors and ministers from various faiths to be there so we can pray the prayer of faith across all cultures of religion. We call it ecumenical. That's what I want to do in every county. I want to have a big T for all of the women. And if your pockets are deep enough, give Queen Mother a call. It can still happen. I believe in magic. I'm a
absolutely.
person that has faith, and it can happen. Hello, Lucy.
Hi,
Hello.
Lucy.
Hi.
Welcome. We introduced you while you were trying to get on. We saw you were having a little bit of an internet problem, but we're
Yeah,
really happy that you've joined us.
I appreciate.
And I hope you heard Queen Mother saluting you as women who
Yes,
ran, women who dared, women who had the courage, whether you
yes.
Yes,
won or you lost.
The
yes, yes.
Kenyan
Thank
women
you.
who dare. Mm.
Yes. So, just to give you some background, we're just going round just to see what were your impressions of the season of the election and Bonga Dada Bonga. So I'm just going to go to Rose. Since you've just joined us, you can take a minute, put your thoughts together. Let me go to my co-host Rose, and then we come back to you, Lucy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rose Ducaro, and really it's a honor again to be here. I think I've been hosting here now I've just hosted for 3 times. This is my fourth appearance. Today, I think I just want to appear as a guest. And I must say that it has been quite an experience. I think the first time we started this, we never knew how far we would go, and we didn't know the type of women would even interview here. But it was a big revelation for us to have given opportunities for women, for their voices to be heard, and especially looking at the season that we were focusing on women in politics. So great opportunity that we gave to different women. But some of the interviews I listened to and watched, and even the ones I participated in, some of things came to me as amazement of what really women go through.
Yeah.
I thought that this is the only preserve of the corporate world where you have to do it 10 times than men do for you to prove your existence and for you to prove a point. But we saw the efforts, the determination that women out there they're making, and especially those who have dared to be in politics. And it was such an encouragement to me, and I believe to the audience and to the world, to see that women are willing and they are capable to be in any environment, to be in any platform of leadership, and they've given it their best. I mean, we've interviewed brilliant women here who have shared nuggets of politics and what they've experienced. And women who are not shying away, even if they don't make it this time around, they know there's always next time. So it was such an encouragement for us who are not even in politics, for young upcoming women who are looking forward to occupy such political seats in the future. To that encouragement was good, whether the person won the race or not, but just to say there's always next time for that person to win. And I think for me, it's also that opportunity that we were not selfish enough to say because we are occupying these seats, we don't want anyone else to be visible. No. When this platform began, we decided to give women the platform to speak out and be seen. And this is an encouragement I'd want to give to everyone, wherever you are as a woman, give an opportunity to the other woman. I am here because I've gone through the hands of many women. I remember my first job, actually my HR manager, who was a lady, said that you have what it is. It takes, take another step, get another job where you get a senior role because you have the qualification, you have the experience. She is my friend today because I realized that was my friend who never shied away from encouraging me and giving me as a woman an opportunity to rise. I mean, when we meet nowadays, we laugh about it, and I say it was because she dared me to dare the world, and hence where I am. And of course, to celebrate the results of the many women who have been elected to various positions. I think we've had the statistics with 7 women in governorship position. And to hear that the government is not shying away from implementing the 2/3 gender rule, and actually they are going 50-50, we can only wait, can only wait and be
This is
hopeful
true.
that as many women will be involved in the leadership of this country. And so as we venture into other seasons, I believe that we'll be looking at women in other leadership positions now, even as we move away from the political environment. So for me, it's such an encouragement that this is the 19th episode. We are still remaining with one, dealing with women in politics, and we are yet to venture into other areas. So I just want to tell viewers, don't don't keep away from this platform. We will be bringing very exciting opportunities and moments for you, for women in all areas and walks of life. This is an encouragement to each and every one of us. So let me say that I have learned, and I've learned, and I'll continue learning. Thank you very much.
Thanks, namesake. And let me come to Lucy now. I mean, first of all, your experiences with being on Bonga Dada Bonga, did that make a difference? What was it like for you? But also, more important, what was the election like? What did you learn? What surprised you? And what maybe encouraged you or disappointed you, whichever it is?
Okay, thank you very much. Again, my name is Lucy. I'm happy to be on this platform. Although I wouldn't say that maybe I have an experience with Bonga Dada Bonga. I was trying to log in last time and then my internet really backed me up. But now today I'm here. I appreciate that you recognized me and you are hosting me on this Bonga Dada Bonga. So I vied for MCA seat in Bakalo Ward, but I didn't make. Yes, I didn't make, but I would say that the experience was worth it because it really exposed me. I really learned a lot. I had to come to terms that there are still women who think that if a woman is vying, they would tell you that don't worry, you will be nominated. I mean, I didn't believe that even women in this era still believe that a woman cannot fight with men, rather sit back and wait for a nomination seat. So it was like a wake up call for me. And I thought that even after elections, I thought that I have a very big role to play in making these people, making especially women to change their mentalities so that they can believe that we can also fight for these spaces. We don't have to wait back for the top up list of nominations so that they can consider us. We also have the energy, we also have those chances, and we can fight with the men.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. It's very interesting that you raised that one because I think we heard from the CEO of Kewopa that the nomination process is now being abused by political parties, and they, in some cases, they were telling women to stand down, even qualified women, to stand down and wait for the nomination. So it's like a systemic problem that we need to address.
yes,
The nomination process, I think, was supposed to encourage women and build women and give them confidence, but it wasn't supposed to replace election, you know? And
yes, yes,
so it's very interesting that you have raised that issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think for myself, I have really enjoyed the experience of being on Bonga Dada Bonga and the women, the diversity of women we have met. And the constant kind of excuses made for not electing women. We heard from young women who were being told they're too young to be elected. We heard from old women who, older women who were told they're too old to stand for that seat. So,
yeah,
so whatever you do, it's never enough. As Rose was saying earlier, it's almost like whatever you do, whoever you are, you're never judged as being enough. And so I think standing in the face of that, I think that those resistances are not resistances that men face. You know, we don't hear men being told you're too young, you're too old. You know, well, a few are told they're too old, but it's really not at the level that women get told. By the time you're in your late 50s, early 60s, we heard from one woman who said she was too old to be a women's rep, you know?
Mm.
So it has really been an education to understand the issues that women face, the diversity across the country. There are women in areas where there's no power, there's no communication, there's no internet, you know, and you really wonder how do they actually manage to get around. And then there's the perennial issue of financing. And I'm sure, Lucy, you have a thing or two to say about financing of elections. I think almost every woman speaks about that, which is an
yes.
issue. Yeah.
When I ventured into politics, I really had high expectations. Like I thought maybe my spouse will stand with me. But immediately I entered the arena, he left me alone. He told me, okay, in the first place he did not want it. But when I insisted, he told me to walk along and disabled all my finances. So I had to walk all alone.
Wow.
You are not accessing anything. Anything to do with the family funds has been disabled. So you are there. But I encouraged myself. I had to go because I was determined. I walked all along. He didn't. He didn't support me in any way, but I thank God I made it. In fact, in the first place, he never thought maybe I will get a certificate. So, disabling all those financial doors meant that maybe I become crippled, but I didn't. I just said to continue. I had well wishers, I had friends. So they kept on
Mm.
encouraging me, Lucy, go. So that in the first place, he said that this man who's already in the seat is my friend. And there's no way you're going to defend a seat that my friend is sitting on. But I said, it's democracy. You know, he's your friend, I'm your wife. Who is more? He kept quiet. But now when I proceeded, he didn't, he expected that I'll stop at some point because everything was now shut. There was no finance, nothing. But I don't know, somehow, I think it was a miracle. I went through. I got the certificate. I came back and he was saying that you're not going to get that certificate. But I got it. I came and then I went. So we were competing with 21 men. I was the only lady. So when I started working and meeting these ladies, actually, I was encouraged. They were so positive at some
Yes.
point. They were like, no, you are the only lady, we are going to support you. But now at some point, I was even being called by some MPs. And I tell me, oh, Lucy, just step down. You are a lady. We are going to nominate you so that you can back up our candidate or of those strong, parties that are around.
Yes.
That is DAP and Ford Kenya. But no, I said no. I looked at where I had come from, and I thought it was not wise for me to step down because actually I'm mahali nimetoka ni mbali. So I didn't step down all along. I went up to the debe, but somehow these ladies, they men also know how to convince them. I think on the eve they really heavily bribed them, and going to the ballot, starting on counting, I found that they had not voted for me. Very few had done so. And I said, well, it is an experience. I have to go back. I have to meet these women and tell them that next time, if somebody comes after me, even if it's not me, learn to stand with those women because before they even reach the political arena, they have gone through a lot.
Yeah.
Right from resistance from family before you overcome so that you can come and get to that arena. It is not easy. So somehow right now I feel I need to go back. I need to reach them out. I need to tell them the importance of women leadership because
Yes.
some of them don't even realize that if women were in those positions, they could be having better services because these men are not as thorough as women, but they cannot understand. They still believe that men will lead us, as the women will get nomination seats. I used to tell them when I'm in the field, a nomination seat is not the best one for a woman because I will not be able to air out your
Yeah.
problems. Give me an elective seat, let me go and represent you. Don't give me a nomination seat for me to go and represent a party. I will not make it to represent you people.
Yeah.
But we still have a
Let me
long way.
ask you. Let me ask you two questions.
Yes.
What drives you? What keeps you going? What is it that keeps you, you know, it pushes you to keep going? Like now you say you're going back, you want to explain to the women, you want to reflect on it with them. And then, oops, we lost her.
Yeah, she will be
Oh,
joining, I guess.
Okay,
okay.
she'll join us. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's a really complex issue that women face right from the family, like she's saying. I mean, I wasn't even expecting her to come up with that. And that's a difficult one.
I'm sorry.
No
That's okay.
problem.
No problem. No, I
Yeah.
was I was asking, what is it which that drives you and keeps you going in the face of so much resistance? And what do you think needs to be done? What do we need to do to convince society about women's leadership?
Okay. What actually motivates me is when I watch people, my fellow ladies, my girls, they are small girls, women, and even my personal life. It motivates me. Like if I say if at my level, I'm going through all these. What about somebody else somewhere who is not enlightened? He doesn't know her rights. She doesn't know what is best for her. Then she's suffering more than I'm doing. That is what actually motivates me. And I think every other lady needs to be enlightened and know their rights and know that they can also create for themselves a platform to fight for their rights. So that is actually what motivates me.
Yeah. Okay.
Just apart
Great.
from somebody else's life, mine also motivates me.
Can I throw it to you, Rose? What do you think we need to do to get? What have you
I,
learned that you think we
yeah,
can take forward?
yeah, yeah. I think for me, it's first to encourage Lucy and say that you're, despite the whole world disowning you, you're not alone, because the God who put the passion in you to go for politics will see you through. It might take longer,
Amen.
but you'll get there. For women, and as I said again, Rose, I think we have to continue pushing and pushing. We must not relent. We must not give up, because a lot of the intentions of those opposing forces is to see you give up. But the best thing you can do is don't give up, because if you give up, then you're giving an opportunity to the other person to celebrate and say, you see, women are weak. And that's why you hear statements of women are weak, women cannot lead, because they are known to give up. So, and I love, um, I think the drive for Lucy, it's out of this world, because
Amazing.
even from your own family. But Lucy, I need to say this, that most of women, they go through this, and especially in the family setup, whether they're taking up political positions or corporate positions, uh, the other person will always see, she's not good enough, or why are you competing with my friends, or why are you competing even with me as the man, if they are holding better positions. But it's for us to understand. I think this is one thing I've encouraged young people, is to know that God created each and every one of us with a purpose.
Yes.
And it is for you to realize that purpose. When you're living with your partner, it is for us to ensure you are accomplishing your purpose, as we have common goals, but don't relent on what God created you to accomplish. So if God gave you the heart of helping others, or leading others, or giving back to others, do not. Because what will happen, when we go to heaven, I keep on telling people, when someone dies, they die alone. So when they go to heaven, they'll face God by themselves. And one of the things that God will ask them, what are you doing?
Yes.
All
So
right now.
yes, so we must not relent despite the circumstances, because women, we are known to be shaken a bit and then we run away, but have learned from the women on this platform that women don't give up. And
Yeah.
it is a great learning for all of us, and for women and aspiring women in politics, to know that mud will be thrown to you. And we've seen it.
Yeah.
And even some men will tell you the same story. I mean, we've seen men being abused left, right, and center, being told things which are very unprofessional. So it hurts more when you're a woman, because most of us, we are truthful and you know what you stand for. That's why it hurts when you feel that someone is saying very bad things against you. But it's that drive should not leave you. If I may say that as a direct translation, continue pushing, continue moving ahead, because there's a higher pay, there's a higher goal. And when you keep focused on the goal, on the bigger vision, then you will not give up, because you have
Yeah.
the motivation every day to keep you going.
Yes. Lucy, I want to say, moving forward, what do you see that we, as regular women in society, can do over this next 5 year period leading up to the next term? And then I want to double back and talk a little bit more about this term. But what is it that you think that we as citizens can do to help the women in politics in this country?
Okay. One, before anything else, we need to reach them out, our fellow ladies. Before we do anything, we really need to change their mentality, because the mentality is very wrong. And unless we change it, because if we work out the number of women voters to men voters, men,
Hmm.
women are more. So if we reach them out, each and every woman, so that they can vote for another woman, then we are good to go. That is the
Hmm.
first thing. We must reach them out, whether in church, whether on the farms, whether in their homes. We need to reach them out in the first place, so that we can enlighten them. Unless we enlighten them, we are not going to save these other women who are now in politics. Because, okay, on reaching them out, we are going to change their mentality, and they are going to embrace women leadership. And also, as much as we are going to reach out to women, we also reach out to men, so that we can help them understand that even women can do well in leadership, and give them, in fact, concrete examples that they can see. And apart from that, those ladies who are venturing in politics, they go through a lot. We need to reach them out during maybe that time they are in the field. We encourage them, and also financially we have to support them. It is not easy, especially like when some of us were vying. We have opponents who just go back when it is tough. They go and sell one of their plots. They come back and they bribe the voters. And for us, we are in that capacity whereby before I do something like that, I have to consult my husband, who will say, no, we are not going to sell this asset, or we are not going to part with this for this politics. But for those men, they can get anything when they want. And then three, we also need to really train those women before they get into politics. We train them so that they can know the facts about politics. It's not just a matter of them entering politics. They don't know what is happening. We need to prepare them. They know what is actually politics. And when you have entered, thank God I got some little training before I entered. And even when my husband was resisting, I knew it was something possible. He could resist. And up to a point, I knew that maybe he might not even vote for me. I was prepared. That's why I had to go on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I could have broken down. I could have given up.
Mm.
I could
Mm.
have sat back and left the thing like that.
Yeah.
But I thank God I had some training. So, and for me to get that training, because I had a friend who was at least also vast, who encouraged me to attend that training. But there are those ladies who even don't know what is happening. They don't know that these trainings are there. So we need to reach them out.
Yeah.
I think that is
Excuse me. If someone has their phone on or a radio or something in the background, please turn it off or mute it. I'm getting feedback.
no. I
So if your
am
phone
actually
is on, put it on mute. And if there's a radio or other electrical equipment nearby, turn it off because it's giving us feedback and interfering with the conversation. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, I think this, Rose, if I may, there's a question that Professor has asked, and I look at it also in terms of trying to, as women, get enlightened with what Lucy is saying in terms of training, to start planning early. Because if you plan, if you have your strategy right, it's most possible that next time you'll hit it. Because if you start now, Lucy, and this is also to other women, and say, this is what I need to do every year to ensure in the next 5 years, uh, I want to achieve a specific objective. Because in the planning, if you have laid out your plan very well, that every year you reach out to this number, you reach out to this number, you partner with this person, you look for resources here and there. So that by the time it's 5 years, you're not just waking up elections in August and you're starting your journey that January. Because I've been observing a lot of politicians, not a lot, a few politicians who have been able to draw up their plans early enough, and I've observed and I've seen, and they knew exactly what needs to be done at any particular time. So it was not as a surprise to them. It was rather how they had planned things to unfold towards the general election. So as women, even as you go for that training, it's also important that in the training, there a bit of incorporation in terms of strategic planning for the election, so that you don't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to vie for this position. I think that way, having a longer term plan would really help you, so that come in 2027, it will just be a walk in the path. The other issue I need to feel, apart from enlightening women, is more of allowing them to realize that women have solid issue based. I remember that we were doing some comparison of some two women who are running for governors, and we were saying, what is it this one has while this one does not have? And we realized that when you sell your issue based agenda rather than the feminine gender agenda, rather, I think people want to associate more with issues. How are you going to sort out their issues? And because I've seen, I mean, even in the corporate world, when we go for interviews, we go for interviews regardless whether you're a woman or a man or whatever happens. They look at what is it that you can give. So it's also important to enlighten women in terms of selling their manifestos, showing how they're gonna solve problems that are affecting the people.
I think I agree with you, Rose, that we need to be long term, to have a long term view and begin planning early. But the issue of money in Kenyan politics is so corrosive that I mean, I
Yeah.
have many friends who have been involved and they have done those long-term agendas and they've been involved in community and they have a track record of what they've done and they can show you where they've input into community.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a formula that those who know the Kenyan game use. They show up 2 months to election. It's actually just 2 months to election. They don't do anything
Yeah.
before that.
Mm.
In fact, they say it's a waste of time and money to start earlier than that. So they show
Oh,
up 2 months before and they just dish out cash, literally, literally. So I mean, I think there's need to revisit the campaign financing rules and regulations
yes,
because it is not it's actually corrupting our democracy,
it
the way
is.
it's being done, and there are no questions about where this money comes from. I personally don't believe that somebody who has earned legitimate money will stand on a street corner. They do stand on street corners and
No,
just dish out thousands of
they
shillings.
wouldn't. No,
So
no.
I mean, I think we need to kind of contain our campaign financing. I mean, to manage it better. And then I also don't understand, although we've made a lot of progress in terms of putting more women in, and I think we're celebrating, even though it's a very small gain, we're celebrating again another small gain. But when we look at East African region, what is it in Kenya that makes us lag? Because I think we have some of the most educated women. We have some of the most experienced. We have some of the most, advanced infrastructure for the region. And yet everybody is ahead of us in terms of representation of women. Whether you talk about Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, they've all had deputy presidents, prime ministers, et cetera, and we are still struggling, trying to push women to that level and moving inch by inch. What is it in the Kenyan culture that holds women back so deliberately?
For me, I think, Rose, if I may, it's the thinking of leaders who have been very intentional in terms of policy implementation. because as a country we are ahead in terms of the policies, but they're just on paper. And I'm glad to have had some pronouncement from our leaders who have mentioned that they're going to implement that. But again, back to ourselves is what has been made us to believe that politics is not a clean game. And a lot of us maybe shy away and say, I'm safer where I am rather than going to that side. So it's being very intentional, because at some point we were the benchmark of almost these countries in terms of the policy framework that we have. And indeed we are. And we have countries that actually they are more traditional in terms of their cultures in regard to women, the place for women than us, and yet they are ahead in terms of their appointments. So requires a leadership that is very intentional, because the policy framework is there. It's just to implement. And if you see any country, if you see anyone who behaves in the way they behave, then blame the leader, because if they do not implement the policies which are already put in place, we have no one to blame.
Yeah.
So it is in terms of being very intentional and saying these cabinet secretaries is 11 positions for women, 11 positions for men, and we have very qualified women in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And also as women, let's believe in ourselves that we can do it. I'll tell you this, Rose, a long time ago and in my young career, I used to believe those high positions are only for men. And I used to pray to God not to give me a higher position. It's until I realized, what am I doing? And when I started praying right and playing my cards right, then I mean, we've been able to rise to some position. So it's important that as women also we believe in ourselves and not try to shy away. I was telling a friend of mine, if the position of head of state in this country was advertised and applied, so it's important with ourselves.
But it's so you've said three things, I think. I've heard you say three things. One, we need to clean up politics because it's played as a dirty game and made deliberately intimidating.
Yeah.
Number two, I heard you say there's a lack of political will to just do the right thing, and put women where the Constitution says they should be, and
Yeah.
we've heard pronouncements. Let's see if there will be follow through.
We
And the
pray
third,
so.
yeah. And the third thing that you've said is I think the one that for me is we need to think about how do we do it? How do we make women confident? How does that happen? So maybe Lucy, do you have any thoughts?
Okay, thank you. I think I'll just back her up. We really need implementation. Implementation is stagnating. These policies are there. I think when somebody hears about Kenya, they are always thinking of some. Okay, I would not call it developed, but a country whose people are enlightened. But I'm surprised that is not true.
Yeah.
Because now when you reach out, you come to the ground, you find that something is totally different from what.
Well, she's frozen. Let's give her a minute.
Okay,
People
let's give her
expect
a minute.
a long way to go. We need to work on implementation of the same. And about that, we just need to go up to the roots. We get these women on board, we get these ladies on board so that we can tell them what they need. I mean, what is best for them and how they are supposed to go and look for it so that everything can be implemented. Otherwise, if we just sit back, we will never get where we want to go as women. Yeah, so we need to wake up I personally need to wake up and somebody else to hold my hand so that we can come out victorious.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will still stagnate at the policy that is there that is not has not been implemented.
Yeah. I often
Yes.
think I often think because I come from the journalism and communication background, and I often think that there's a deliberate, call me a cynic, but I sometimes think there's a deliberate, I don't want to call it a policy, a deliberate action to keep people uninformed because information is power, you know? So we haven't had effective civic education. This year, I think we did almost nothing. IEBC says they did some, the electoral body says they did some, but it wasn't visible, it wasn't universal, it doesn't go down deep into the grassroots, not in the same way that you would see information about COVID, because everybody's afraid of dying. Even the
Mm,
chief speaking about COVID, but you don't hear civic education and the value of diversity in politics being preached all the way to the ground. And this is not a new thing. Civics had been removed from our history lessons when we were young children. I think at one point the political science department at the university was closed, or it wasn't encouraged as a subject. So years and years of undermining people's access to civic information probably plays out in how people view government today. So maybe we need to push that agenda, and it's not an election. Civic education is not an election theme. It's something that everybody should have
mhm.
all the time. They should know their rights and their obligations and their
Yes.
responsibilities on a continuous basis. Queen Mother, you've been quiet.
Yes, I'm ready to speak. And I want to deal with
Please
the
do.
issue about how do we give the women confidence? Giving a person confidence, just like love, comes from within. Number one. Number two, one way that you can receive confidence is through education. And in this case, we're talking about civic education across the board. So in my mind already, I'm seeing civic education classes being held. They can be like, a few hours this week, a few hours next week, but just a genre of information on the civic education piece that people began to hear it over and over and over and over and over again until it begins to sink in. I believe that with knowledge and education, it makes a difference in as to what you think, how you act, and also what you believe. So part of our role as I am listening now is one of the things is to provide this civic education. And gosh, it could be 30, 40, 50 different subjects inside of civic education, but make it such that it's in all the local languages so that everybody at every level can get it, not just in the quote unquote official language of the country, but the language in the areas where the people are. So again, it's for us to do the work. The work is for us to get out there and mingle and be with the women, talk to them. That's definitely a lot of what we have to do is to go out there. It's almost like an evangelist who goes beyond the doors of the church out into the community and work with the people. I'm thinking that's part of what we'll have to be doing as a grassroots effort here in Kenya for education of the women and also education of the men. Because sometimes when men get to understand that the blood that we bleed is red just like theirs,
Yeah.
okay, we're on the same page. My blood is the same as yours, bro. So
Mhm.
why is it there's certain things that I can have and can't have? But coming from a society in America where we have seen how not only just women, but people of a certain skin tone have been denied certain privileges and things that we fought against. But one of the things I will say to you that worked is that we continued the fight. I remember from a little child, I think I told you guys, I got a chance to meet the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, may he rest in peace and power, when I was a child, because he would come into our churches and talk to us. And then they would give us assignments to do. Like in the summertime when school was out, you signed up on a list that you would be a child available to volunteer, or our parents were picked up and taken to register to vote, right? And then the other thing they did is there was always, uh, we used to call them, what do we call those things? It'll come to me in a moment, but it was these meetings we would always have at the church. Why? Because the church was a facility in the community, and in every community and damn near every other street, there was a church. So you could always go there and be told information. But what they would do with us after we signed up to go and volunteer to babysit the kids when the people came to in the vans to pick up the parents to go vote, we also had a day where we would come and report on what did we do. And I'll never forget that when we would go out and do something, Dr. King would come to the church and he wanted to just talk to the children and ask you, child, what did you do today for the Lord? And we used to raise our hand and they said, tell us, what did you do? I babysit 3 families today. Then you sit down and the church would say, and then the next child would stand up and they say, well, I only babysitted 2 homes, but I was glad when I got back home because I was hungry.
Yeah.
You see, when you went into a person's home to watch their children for those few hours while the parents was going out to vote, you didn't go in the refrigerator. The only thing you really were allowed to do was to use the toilet.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there, I don't know what's the difference in how you listen to what it is you're told, but I'm of the opinion that if we start a program and we have various men and women and youth, boys and girls, people with disability out there on the trail as a part of this Kenyan grassroots for educating of in terms of civic education, I think it'll make a huge difference. And I am here to serve.
Well, that was forcefully said. We're going to call on you for that. We seem to have lost Lucy as we wind down. Still have a few
Okay.
minutes. And I just wanted to let's reflect. I mean, we've talked a lot about the problems that we still see, the learnings that we've gained, but what are the
Mhm.
successes? What do you see as the successes um, from this election season and from Bonga Dada Bonga?
I want to limit
Queen
it to
Mother,
Bonga Dada Bonga because next week, what we want to do next week, ladies and gentlemen, can I tell them what we have in mind for next week, ladies?
is it for sure? Have you confirmed?
No, but I can tell them what we're working on.
Okay.
I like to tell them what we're working on, and what we're working on for next week is we actually want some of the women from Nakuru County, where every seat in the House was
All
filled
right.
by a woman, a woman. So
We
next
we
week,
need
our hope, we're hoping
yes.
we will have guests on the show, but we hope to bring you some of those women winners. So if you know
Yeah.
a phone number, send it to Queen Mother because I'm not afraid
Okay.
to ask. The Bible say we have not because we ask not. So I'm asking right now, send us their number so we can call them and invite them to be on the show with us next week and talk about what happened to make them win like that. Can you imagine? And listen,
It's
I'm ready to
amazing.
move to Nakuru. I'm ready to move to Nakuru.
Me too.
That's kind of
Yeah.
like, I'm like, ooh, I got to figure out how I could be in Nakuru, y'all, because I feel that the die has been cast through that
Yep.
county with every woman winning those seats, which would be a stronghold for women across the globe, not only just in
Yeah.
Kenya or East Africa,
Yep.
but in other countries. Definitely. So I want to tie into those women, and I certainly want. I know they're going to be busy fulfilling their positions, right? But we do want to hear from them on what we can do for a better turnout in year
Yeah,
5 from now, year 2027.
absolutely. It must be, there must be something in the water that they're drinking that's different from the one that we're drinking because that was a
I
landslide and
want
it was
some. I
amazing.
want
I want some, me too.
yes, yes.
Lucy, what did you think of the women who
So
won in Nakuru?
Pardon?
What did you think about the women, the win in Nakuru, the MCAs, the governor, the senator? They're all women.
Now, let me tell you, I had goosebumps all over. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't believe it had happened. And then I thought, then Nakuru is just a lucky place to be.
Yeah.
Because one thing I believe in is that women leadership will always bring the best. Because mothers are the best. I think
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if there's something we need to do with our women, now that Nakuru County has women in place, I think that is the best place for them to benchmark in the next few years.
I think
We
that's
need
an
to just take
important
them
thing.
to Nakuru. Yeah, they need to benchmark Nakuru.
And
I
I
think just
think,
take like,
yeah, what you're saying is very important because just not only just benchmarking it, using it as the benchmark for women's leadership, but I think also for impact. What is the impact of having women in leadership? And I think we really need to watch that because across the
Mhm.
country, I think if you look at where women were given the chance, there's always something different that happened there. And we're
yes,
not telling those stories very effectively. So it's not visible. It's not always visible,
mm.
the transformation that women cause. Rose, any success stories that have touched you?
I think learning from Nakuru, I think I celebrate the men also who are in Nakuru because they
Yes,
also voted for women.
yes,
And I think it's an
Yeah,
encouragement for other men in this country to believe in women leadership.
yes,
But for Bonga Dada Bonga, I would want to say that we were present, we stood out, we were counted because we were there to share knowledge with others.
mm,
We did not shy away from sharing with others, and hence it gives us at least a space in people's lives where we touched in one way or the other as an encouragement also to other women who are coming. And so for me, is to celebrate the successes of the shows that we hosted because we shared knowledge with a lot of people. And I'm sure the impact will be long lasting.
Mhm.
And going forward, I'm sure we will do much more in terms
Mhm.
of sharing knowledge, just like you had mentioned earlier, what is it that we can do to continue encouraging women? It's doing that small little in your space, sharing knowledge with people. When you
yes,
have, you know that you understand a certain law, what it means, stand up
Mhm.
where you worship in church and share.
yeah,
Tell your
yeah,
pastor that, hey, I have expertise in this area, I can share. Don't
yeah,
feel shy from calling a few women and sharing with them and say, hey, I'm good in this area. Do you know you can do one, two, three things? So
yes,
our successes is because we stood up and we were counted. We never shied away. And we'll
Mhm.
continue doing this as long as God will give us breath.
Mhm.
okay.
yes.
Okay, I think our time is up. Let me ask Lucy if she has, as our special guest, if she has anything she wants to say, and then I'll hand back the show back to Queen Mother to sign us
Mhm.
out. Lucy, a parting shot?
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to appreciate you guys for bringing this platform here for us to come and actually tell our story. the story of a woman. It is a story. So I would say and would encourage any other woman who is outside there. Yes, I know it is not easy, but we will just keep on. We are not relenting. We are at it. We feel we still have also the energy they have, and we will toil along with them, with the men. Thank you very much.
Thank
Mm.
you.
All right, I would like to take this moment of all and thank all of our viewers over these 20 weeks who tuned in. And every week, the rates went up and up and up and up in terms of the Facebook count as to who was tuning into the show or even coming in and watching the show after the show. Because do know this, all of the episodes of Bonga Dada Bonga are on Facebook and in some cases, even YouTube. So you can go back and look and hear what was said and what was shared. So that's first. Secondly, I like to thank all of my colleagues, Rose and Aching and Claire and Bridget and yes, Nana, Teresa and Susan for
Yes.
coming into the show and stepping into the role of host because none of this came into existence until we asked the question and you said yes. I also want to thank the many mighty, wonderful co hosts who came on the scene and showed up for us, both men and women, majority women, because this is a platform for women's voices, but we don't mind hearing a man's voice. It's okay with us. So I want to thank all of those people for bringing this dream into reality. And what it let me know, because it's not like my plate isn't full, but it let me know that no matter how full your plate is, if it's something in your heart you want to do, you can do it. It reminds me of those phone calls you used to get from boys. The ones you didn't want to speak to, you never picked up the phone. But for those you wanted to speak to, no matter how busy you were or where you were in the country, you found a way. You found a way to be in communication. So that's what we did here. We found a way to be in communication. So I'll end it by saying, stand up, stand up for your rights. Stand up. Don't give up the fight. And last but not least, if not you, who?
Then who?
Who?
And if not now, when?
Then
When?
when?
The time is now. Stay tuned. After today, next week, we'll have the 20th episode of Bonga Dada Bonga, but keep tuning in because we will be having some more Bonga Dada Bonga. Ladies, Bonga Dada
Bonga
Bonga.
dada
Ladies,
bonga.
Bonga Dada
Bunga,
Bonga.
da,
Bonga,
bunga.
Bonga Dada Bonga. Come on, Lucy. Bonga Dada Bonga.
Bunga, da,
Bonga
bunga.
Dada Bonga.
Bonga
Bonga Dada
dada
Bonga
bonga,
Dada Bonga. Bonga
bonga
Dada. That's
dada
it.
bonga.
We're going to be having some
Yes.
more. And Lucy, when you want to come back to this platform, it is here for you. When you're ready to lead
Thank
a
you.
civics class in civic education for young girls, boys, men, women, this platform is available to you and for you because Bonga Dada Bonga is a platform for women's voices. Tune in every week, every Thursday, live at 7 p.m. Kenya time, 12 noon New York time. Bonga Dada
Dada
Bonga.
bonga.
Bonga Dada Bonga. Bonga Dada. Bonga, dada, bonga, dada, bonga, dada, bonga. Bonga.